It was around 2 a.m., and I couldn't sleep because the person I had been dreaming about was lying right next to me. I gathered a little courage and slowly reached out my hand. But as soon as I did, my neighbor, Sarah, suddenly shifted, so I quickly pulled my hand back. I was afraid she might say something strange. Sarah looked at me and asked, "Are you okay?" "Can't sleep?" I replied. "No, I can't sleep," she said. "Well, go to sleep. It's getting late," and then turned over to sleep again. A little while later, when I thought Sarah was in a deep sleep, I decided to take my chance. My name is John, and I'm 25 years old. This happened 2 years ago when I was living on the first floor of a building in New York and working at an office nearby. My neighbor, Sarah, had recently moved into the apartment on the second floor. She had a young daughter and worked as a nurse at the local hospital. When I first saw Sarah, I couldn't believe she was married. She seemed very independent, living with her daughter while her husband came only once a month. I thought maybe she was feeling lonely. She worked long hours at the hospital, and whenever I was leaving for work, I often saw her leaving for the hospital as well. Our paths crossed every day, and after a while, I noticed Sarah noticing me, and I could tell she was aware of my interests. One day, after a few months, during the summer heat, Sarah sent her daughter to stay with her grandparents. Now she was living alone in the apartment. One evening, when I came back from work, Sarah called me from her window. "Hey John, my phone isn't working. Could you take a look at it quickly?" she asked. I had been waiting for a chance to talk to her, so I eagerly agreed. I had talked to her a few times before, but there was always someone else around. I told her I would change clothes and come right over. I went back to my apartment, freshened up, and then went over to her place. I rang the bell, and she opened the door, inviting me in. I sat on her couch and started fixing her phone. After a little while, Sarah brought me some snacks and tea, and we began chatting. We talked for a while, and before I knew it, I had her phone number, and we started texting each other. That night, she thanked me for helping with her phone, and we kept chatting late into the night. One night, she said, "I don't feel comfortable sleeping alone. I'm scared." I offered, "Why don't you come over to my place to sleep? You can leave early in the morning." She hesitated for a moment and then said, "You know what? Instead, why don't you come over to my place? It will be fine." I agreed, and I went over to her apartment. There was only one bed since she lived alone. I asked if she was sure, and she assured me it was fine. I lay down next to her. Around 2 a.m., I couldn't sleep because she was so close to me. I slowly reached my hand towards her, but she suddenly moved, and I quickly pulled my hand back. I was afraid she might say something weird. Then Sarah turned towards me and asked, "John, what's wrong?" "Can't sleep?" I said. "No, I'm just restless." She smiled and said, "Well, go to sleep. It's late," and turned back to sleep. Later, when I was sure Sarah was asleep, I decided to make my move. As I thought everything was fine, I heard her softly whisper, "Are you awake?" I was so happy, and we started talking quietly. The next morning, around 10 a.m., Sarah made me tea, and we had a pleasant conversation. She seemed happy, and I asked if she enjoyed herself. She replied, "Yes, I did." A few hours later, I left her place and went back to my apartment. From that day on, I started visiting Sarah's apartment daily, and we grew closer. At the end of the video, I suggest including this text for engagement. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified every time we post new content. Thanks for watching.